What's up, YouTube? Happy fall. It's been a minute, but this is my second trimester recap video. Um, and honestly, I think in the last time I filmed, I don't even know if I had brown hair. So I have brown hair again. I went back to kind of a more natural color, closer to my root color, just to be a little less high maintenance with upkeep as I near the third trimester of my pregnancy. I'm not quite in the third trimester yet. I'm almost done the second trimester, but I was like, you know what? I have so much to say that I'm just gonna put it out there now. So, I also realized that I didn't speak so much about anxiety in my first trimester recap video, so I'm gonna touch pretty heavily on that. But basically, I just wanted to give right off the bat the few things that have been noticeable in the second trimester. One being acid reflux that has entered the chat in trimester two, which is not pleasant per se, but it's fine. I've heard that it means hair, or like the baby has a lot of hair. I don't know if that's just a myth or if there's truth in that. I have no idea. But acid reflux, I have had pretty much right at the beginning, like once second trimester started, it was like, hello. And then this was like a really random thing, which to be honest, I think it was food poisoning because it was one day, but I was ill, but it was one day. And I think I said to Sean too, when that happened, I was, or maybe it was to a friend, or I forget to who, but I said, it was like, I would rather take the feeling blech, of the first trimester and everything a million times over that one day. It was so horrible. Just how sick I was, but I genuinely think it was food poisoning. So that was random. I don't know that I can even say that that's like a second trimester thing. It just happened. And then the only other thing that was like a major, or not major, but just a notable thing was around 21 weeks. That's the first time that I felt her kick. And that was just really cool because, well, it just makes it like that much more real. But also, too, once Sean can feel her kick or could feel her kick, he got so excited and it just changed things for him, just of how excited and how much he was just like, I just want to meet her right now. It's just really cool. I will say that with feeling the kicks, and I swear my daughter is nocturnal. She's a little confused, but at night my sleep has definitely gotten a little bit more rough. Just because she's kicking me all the time and I'm aware of it, so it's a little hard to get comfortable. Slash, I pretty much have to pee all the time. So yeah, but it genuinely is just very cool because you're like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, oh yeah, I'm feeling her move, and she moves a lot. Um, Now another thing. Well, I guess I should backtrack and kind of revisit first trimester because again, I didn't really talk about my anxiety that I've dealt with, because that has been just like probably the biggest theme of my whole pregnancy. Um, but in the first trimester, I just was really, I don't know, maybe like doubtful is the word, or I don't know. I just, up until my very first appointment, I could not shake just how horrible I felt, like from an anxious point. And I don't say this lightly, because I have a lot of family members or friends who have actually dealt and experienced with some of these things that I'm about to say. But basically in the first trimester, like my brain, I felt like I was combating Satan every day, multiple times a day. Um, just I would literally just be sitting there. I would be doing the dishes or doing anything, and it would just pop in my head words like miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, just no heartbeat, or chemical pregnancy, like just all those things that you hear of. And then I personally know many people that have experienced them, but all of those things in the first trimester just popped in my head every 5 seconds, which was just really hard. And it kind of felt like a bummer in a sense, because physically I wasn't, I really have had, to some people would maybe say, an easy pregnancy when it comes to the physical point. Um, so I feel like it was a little bit of a bummer just to be like, man, I'm having an okay time physically. Like, I'm not sick. I don't feel great, but I'm still active. Like, I'm doing pretty well, but I'm just mentally like kind of all over the place. And it kind of just felt like, man, like, are there people that experience pregnancy where it's just good or like happy the whole time and in this just like blissful excitement? I don't know. I don't know. I think in talking to my friends and family, there's some of them have experienced similar things to me where it's like physically they've been fine, but mentally not. And then I've also heard the complete opposite of friends and family where physically they're like total mess, but mentally totally fine. So I don't know. I think obviously everyone has their own individual experience. It's just my experience, especially in the first trimester, was just constantly having to be like, Satan, you do not belong in my brain. You don't belong in this pregnancy. Like, just all the time, and having to push away all of those words. And I'm relatively a confident person, I would say, most of the time, and I'm pretty secure in like who I am. But I feel like in the first trimester, especially, a lot of these doubts kept creeping up of like, I don't know, just being hard on myself of like, I'm not capable or I'm not worthy of having a healthy pregnancy. And I genuinely, like, again, I don't say any of that lightly, I hope in what I'm saying it's not like offensive to anybody, because I'm truly just sharing how I felt. And no, like, I didn't experience those things. It was just, or at least I haven't experienced them. It was just like, I don't know, Satan creeping into my head of just doubt, be like putting doubt into my head and making me feel like like something like that was going to happen to me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of, I don't know, lots of doubt, lots of anxiety. Anywho, now fast forward to second trimester, because this has probably been the biggest, maybe, turning point, um, I don't know, of the whole pregnancy so far. But at my anatomy scan, Sean and I were both there, and we had said we didn't want to find out in the appointment. We wanted to find out if it was a boy or girl at home, which you have all probably seen that video. If not, check it out. We posted our reaction to finding out that it's a girl. But every time that they were in that type of area, we would look away. So we never saw anything of that region. Anywho, when towards the end of the appointment, and she was really being stubborn. She was super curled up, super low. They kept saying like it was just hard to get all the images that they needed because of her positioning and everything. And they had me like stand up and move around, and they even tilted my bed backwards a little bit to see if they could like make her move a little bit. But anyway, towards the end of the appointment, they brought in the doctor, or I don't know if there's like a specific term, but the person who not the tech. They had to have somebody else higher up read the images. And basically, the doctor or whatever came in and he had told us that everything looked good except for one marker. And they told us it was called an echogenic bowel. I personally, and granted, I have been around so many pregnant people in my life, and I watch so many pregnant people here on social media, and I look things up. Like, you know, I feel like I do know quite a bit of things, but that was a term that I had never even heard of before. Um, so, and if you want to pause and Google it, you're more than welcome to. But essentially, what they told us was an echogenic bowel, where it's basically where the bowel is brighter than the bone. It on the ultrasound it lights up brighter, and they use that as a marker of just like maybe further testing, blah blah blah. But basically, what they told us is that it's either absolutely nothing, or sometimes because they are constantly swallowing fluid. They said sometimes they can swallow blood, or you know, anything can happen, but it can just be bright for no reason. And in that case, it's absolutely nothing to worry about. The doctor even told us don't lose too much sleep over it. Of course I did. But on the total flip side, they said sometimes an echogenic bowel is a marker for something like Down syndrome or cystic fibrosis, and I think there were a few other things. But so it kind of just felt like it was either like there's just very drastic differences of either absolutely nothing or something like that. So that just felt, I don't know, there was a lot of weight on me after that. And I I don't know, I again had a lot of anxiety around it, but it's not because of the possibility of her having something like cystic fibrosis or Down syndrome, because Sean and I, we chose to not do genetic testing right off the bat, right off the bat, where some people do like the blood work and do all that testing pretty early on, roughly around like 12 weeks. We chose not to do it, and part of the reason was because we knew for us personally that it was, if she had something of like a health concern, or like if she had Down syndrome or something, we would not be terminating the pregnancy. Like we would, that's what was meant for our family and meant for us, and you know, greater purpose and XYZ. So we had known that that's where our mindset was, which is why we chose not to do the genetic testing. However, when you are told that that's a possibility, it wasn't, it's the not knowing that was giving me anxiety. It was like, I can handle whatever is told to me, I can handle whatever. But it was just, I wanted to know, versus not knowing and then just like wondering the rest of my pregnancy, you know. So anyway, they ended up sending me to like a high risk appointment. And in that high risk appointment, I didn't actually like really know what I was doing. I knew it was an ultrasound, but I didn't know that it was going to be like as in depth as it was. But basically, in that ultrasound, my mom actually came with me, so Sean didn't have to take off work, but I got to see everything. And at this rate, we did know that it was a girl. And even in that, I like was so doubtful. I was like, are we sure? Like, because the card says this is 90% accurate. And I'm like, I would be the 10% that it's wrong. And like, I don't know. I've just been kind of a mental case. So I literally was like, you know what? I just need to do this. In that high risk appointment, I watched the whole ultrasound, and afterwards, they ended up sending me to do the blood work. So I got I got several different confirmations on the fact that she is a girl, which was just nice to know. But I also, in both that ultrasound, which it was really in depth, and I got to see her in, I think it was like 3D, and it was cool because it printed out in black and white, but in the ultrasound we got to see it in color, so that was just like kind of crazy. I was not expecting to see her face. um, at the end, if I remember, I'll show you guys the ultrasound, so you can see her little face. it's she is Sean, in my opinion. Sean, in the comments you should like drop it and see. I would love to see what you think, but my mom and I, when we saw the ultrasound live, we were like, that is baby Sean. Like, that's not me. Um, Anywho, but in that ultrasound and in the blood work, I got confirmation that the bowel was like the brightness of the bowel completely went away. Everything looked good, healthy, normal, whatever. And again, like, praise the Lord for that. And I was covered in a lot of prayer, which I'm so grateful for. But again, it had nothing to do with if she had something wrong with her. It was more so like, I really just wanted to know so that I was prepared. And moving forward, like, I know I'm already talking about number two, but moving forward, like, Sean and I, just with how much anxiety that I've had throughout the entire pregnancy, we both agreed that for number two, we would just do the genetic testing um, right off the bat when they offer it. Um, because I've learned this throughout this process. This is my first time doing this, obviously, and I've learned about myself that it's just in the not knowing, that's where my anxiety stems from. Um, so I just do better, and it's fine. Everyone's learning. I'm learning. We're all learning, so it's fine. But yeah, that's a little update. Um, anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about is looking at my notes, because oh, you know what? There, I didn't even write this down, but baby brain has been crazy in trimester two. Like, I am so forgetful and just, I don't know, it really is like a fog, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just like, it's on things that I would never be foggy about in my normal life, you know. So baby brain has definitely entered the chat in trimester two. But with the whole anxiety and stuff, I wanted to kind of lead that into um, how, I guess, the silver lining of that has been my prayer life has like grown so much, um, which is just really cool. I've always prayed, but I think there's something powerful about praying for like specific things. And there's a time and place for the big general prayers, which was always me. But in praying for really specific things, that has just been like really intimate and cool with my relationship with God. Um, but basically, I especially I mean, obviously I've been praying for her health, praying very specifically over the echogenic bowel, praying that Sean and I are strong and capable and can handle no matter what is thrown at us, and just praying for all those things, praying for her relationship with God. But there's two specific prayers that I wanted to tell you guys about, just because they're really specific, and it's not just like a general prayer. But one of them is that at my brother's wedding, his mother-in-law was speaking, and she had mentioned that when her daughter was a baby child, whatever, she had always prayed over her future spouse. And that, like, that has stood out to me years later. That has stuck with me because it was kind of the first time that I heard that. And it might sound silly, like some of you might be like, oh yeah, absolutely, but for me, I had never really like heard that or talked about something like that. So it was just kind of an eye-opener of like, wow, my brother, his whole life has been covered in a stranger's prayer up until obviously now they're family, but his whole life, he was, up until meeting his wife, he was covered in someone else's prayer that wasn't just his close family or friends or whatever. And there's something so unique and special and powerful about that. So that has been a really specific prayer that I've had for our daughter, is over her future spouse. Just specifically, obviously from a Christian standpoint, specifically that he's a man of God and a leader and all the things that like Christian people hold value in and hope for and pray for and everything. Um, but I I I want that moment, and it's not about me, but I want that moment of like when I meet my daughter's future spouse to know like this is a person I've been praying for their whole life, and I didn't even know who they were, and yeah, I just think there's something really, really, really loving about that. Anyway, the second prayer that has been really specific, that I've been praying over, and this one might be like, some of you might think it sounds like goofy or weird. I don't know, but I think it's cool. But I've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. But there's this thing where people say, I mean, I think it's scientific, but where people say like, a female fetus in the womb already has the eggs that she will have throughout her life. And if I'm saying that wrong, someone correct me. But I'm pretty sure that's what I've read and seen. And then I start thinking, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool in the sense of like, well then, if I was in my mom's womb, then like the egg that is now going to be Daisy was a part of my mom, and I was a part of my Grammy, and it's just like, I don't know. There's something really beautiful about that to me. Anyway, so I've been really specifically praying over her eggs. Um, I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, deal with a ton of infertility problems, and I just figure, you know what, like, what's the harm? Like, what's the harm in praying over literally anything that comes to your mind? Why not pray over it, right? But specifically, it's like, if I can pray over um, Daisy's future and her future family, her future children, and her future even like struggles, like if I can pray over like maybe her not struggling with infertility or the health of her eggs, just like specific things like that. I just think, again, really powerful and meaningful, and it's so specific to her, and it's just something that I've been praying a lot about. So those were like the two kind of unique prayers, like over your future baby's spouse and over your future baby's future families, right? Why pray for, I mean, you can obviously, like, yes, pray for the immediate, the here and now, pray for all those things, but also you can pray. And that, I think that's just something that like has been newer to me, of like, you can pray for things way down the line, and things that you yourself might not even ever see or experience, like, but you can pray for them right here, right now. So I just encourage, I mean, everybody to pray, but I encourage especially pregnant mamas and dads, that if there's like really specific things that you are praying for and hoping for over your child and their health and their happiness and their futures and all those things, like, pray for them, and pray for them hard, and ask others to pray for them. Like, the power of prayer is so real, and it doesn't just have to be you. It can be if that's what you want, but it doesn't have to be. It can be other people as well. So yeah, that is my second trimester recap. I think the only other thing I'll say is like, heading now that we're in October, I feel just, I don't know, I'm excited for this, the burr months, if you will, because also I apologize, the sun's coming in. It's probably on my face. I'm sorry if it is. But anyway, the burr months, we have so many events with like baby showers and sprinkles and this and that, and um, you know, engagements and blah, 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 all these different things. Um, we have so many things going on in the upcoming 3 months. And then plus the holiday stuff that we're really super booked basically till January, which is birth month. And I'm excited about that just because I mean I really want her to keep cooking, but I'm just obviously so excited to meet her. I think any parent is. So I'm kind of, not to wish the time away, but I'm kind of just excited that we have like a lot of fun things to look forward to. And then out of nowhere with the holidays, it's just going to be baby month. So there will definitely be more updates for you. But basically, that's my second trimester recap. And just know everyone's good, happy, healthy. And we're just really, really excited. Stay here real quick and I'm gonna go grab that ultrasound to show you. All right, I hope I'm getting this in frame here, but there's her little profile. And then like, do you see these of her face? How crazy is that? They said that the machine was like pretty expensive and blah, blah, blah. Again, I had no idea what I was getting myself into with that high risk appointment. But yeah, there she is. There's Miss Daisy Ray. So I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.